All right, today I have to fix my fencing so that my goats stop eating my trees, but I'm going to try to do it without spending any money, trying to do it with stuff that I have here. So it's a bit of troubleshooting. I start one way and then kind of at the last minute decide it's probably a bad idea. So follow along as I try to save my trees for my goats without spending any money. And maybe I'll have to, there might be some more work in the future. Before we get started, like and subscribe. Follow along on my journeys. We've been here for a year in Tennessee. This is our first time ever farming. I have a lot to learn. I've learned a lot in this past year that I get to share with you. I've got a lot more to learn. I've got a lot more growing, and I have a blackberry field now to manage. I have got a farm stand to build. I have a baby goat that's about to be born. I have alpacas to breed and chickens to raise. Follow along. Sky, this is for the alpacas. Let's go back to your area. Opal, come on. Good girl, Opal. Good girl. Good girl. Hey. Don't eat up my trees. Don't eat the trees. Hey, don't eat the trees. Good girl. Don't eat the trees. Don't eat the trees. Come here, pregnant girl. Come here. Don't eat the trees. I'm having a bit of an issue with my goats. They're actually eating my cedar trees in this area. And this is what I call, this is just my term for it, we call it our welcome area. Any new animals that we would get, we'd put them in here. It's a smaller contained area so that they don't run away from us. But it also serves the purpose of when the animals are here, we can lock them up at night. This is an inside gate so that there's like 2 layers of protection. The dogs, you can see this one right here, ironically it's happening as we speak. He has access to this whole field on this side, and he does a very great job at protecting it. Coming in over here and making sure no other animals over here. He chased off a coyote the other day, and since at night the goats are in here and most of the other animals are locked up behind a gate, they're pretty well protected. Now here's where my issue arises. Because they're in here and they like to hang out in here, I end up having the problem to where the goats will start to rip the bark off of my cedar trees. Here is a fresh one, and they really hurt this one. So I'm hoping that they didn't girdle the tree, meaning they took all of its nutrients away, cut it down so it can't bring any of the water or any nutrients coming up from the roots can't make it up to the rest of the tree, so the tree ends up dying, like this one. Right here, this tree I'm pretty sure was killed by the goats. They took off all the bark, and even though girdling technically should maybe go a little bit deeper to kill it, it was enough to kill this tree. If you see up here, the one that's shaking, branches are clearly dead. And they've started to do it to more of the trees. And these trees, I really want to be here. Another one here. Another one here. It's worse from this morning when I saw it last time. At least I'm gonna have some on this side. Wow, it's very sticky, sappy, so it's not doing well. It's trying to heal itself. You see that? We've got another one here. I think they went all the way around this one. Yeah, all the way around. And then this one they've started. So these trees are really important to me to actually have here. I like them for shade for the animals, and for privacy. It blocks, nobody really comes down this road anyway, but it blocks the view of the road up to our house and vice versa. It's very private up here because of these trees. I don't want them to get to destroy this. So I actually have some felt, some fabric that was given to me by one of my neighbors. I'm gonna loosely wrap this around each of the trees, protecting it from the goats from being able to come in here and eat the trees away. Come on, Sky. Come on, girl. Unfortunate situation. These were not holding up very well. Right after I started putting them on, the goats started kind of tugging and pulling and breaking the zip lines and kind of ripping it. So that was pretty unfortunate. So I have to actually make a different solution. Still trying to find stuff that I have around here because I really don't want to spend money on this, because I'm gonna have to spend a bunch more money when I do my permanent solution. Here's what I have going on. I'm gonna get the hotline running all the way across here, covering, blocking off these trees from the goats so that they don't actually come in here and strip the trees. They had gotten to more than I was expecting outside of this little enclosure that I have. Luckily, they both connect. So I'm gonna wrap this whole tree section with hot wire because I don't have enough material to wrap every tree in here. This is what I'm gonna use to put the hot wire through. This is for the top of a T-post, and I'm gonna use it to run the hot wire through that little hole. And I'm gonna connect it to the tree with a little screw, because this is all I have for right now. This was a last minute measure to kind of deal with the goats and let them out because I've had them locked up all day. It's been raining, super raining. They don't like the rain all day anyway. But they've been locked up, and this gave me an opportunity to look to see what I had to set everything up, and this is what I came up with. They have little screws that have a hook like this for trees for what I'm doing anyway, but I don't have any more. This is what I have, and I'm gonna run these all the way through, put the hotline through this before I move through this too much. Look, this is how I'm using these so that they're also reusable in the future. I didn't want to put a hole in this. They have a little hole here that goes straight through the center. So I'm just gonna put the hole, I'm drilling them in like this, and it's gonna go into the tree that way. And then I can just take these out when I figure out exactly what I'm gonna do. All right, now I'm at the point to where you can see this fencing I have here. It's gonna go through this fencing and around the same distance on the outside of this pasture. So it's literally gonna be, it's pretty much mirrored. But I need to go through here, and I don't wanna get the hot line to go through here to make this whole fence hot, because this will just ground it out and it'll be ineffective. I have another piece of wire that's shielded. So I'm gonna tie my actual hot line to here, do the shielded wire just through the fence, and then I'll tie back in on the other side right here. Here's the shielded wire, so that if it does come in contact with here for any reason, it won't ground out into the trees. Just attached to here, and then, so technically something could walk through here, but with all this hot wire, they're not even going to test it. All right, the last thing to do now is actually hook up no, this is the wires. This is called the, I have no idea what you would actually call this thing. I just know it all together as your hot wire. And this is where it gives the pulse from. So this actual unit, I need to figure out what it's actually called, but this is what hooks it all up. So that wire that we ran on the fence line here, okay? That's actually hooked up to that wire right there, this red. If I touch that, I'll get shocked because I'm touching the ground. This is the ground, all right? So that's another wire that is running and connected to a pipe. Not a pipe, a metal rod. Can you even see it on here? Yeah. This is the metal rod that's connected to, and it's hit into the ground. So you make the object that is touching the wire is what makes the connection to the ground. So as soon as you get a ground connection and the electricity passes through you or the animal, that's when you get a shock. And the whole device is set up on a pulse. So it'll go shock, shock, shock. That way nothing gets stuck in here and has time to remove itself. Now, if a bird actually lands on this and isn't touching the ground, nothing happens to the bird because they're not creating a loop. They're not connected to the ground. So depending on how far your hotline needs to go, this grounding rod needs to probably be daisy chained closer to the source of, or closer to the further end of your hotline. We're close enough here that on the far end over the the pulse or the ground connection is still strong enough to create a strong enough electrical current that it'll be uncomfortable for anything making ground contact with it. All right, thank you for following along on my crazy adventure to try to troubleshoot this without spending any money. This isn't going to be a permanent thing. This is because I don't have time to do anything more permanent at the moment. What I'm going to eventually do, I think, is take hardware cloth or chicken wire and wrap the bases of all of these. I've seen some other people do it in my local area, but they have a field and they only have a few cedars. Every tree in here is a cedar tree, so I need to wrap every single tree that I care about and I don't want to leave. That's the issue, and it takes a lot of work. But for now, this is a quick, easy solution and free because I had everything on hand. So it's been working. Let's monitor it and see how it goes.